Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Just wanted to do some end of the season NBA awards talk. Obviously, starting with the MVP discussion. I have a lot of my friends are what I would call LeBron stans. These are the people that believe he's already the greatest player of all time, that he's already surpassed Michael Jordan, Kareem, what have you. And a lot of these folks I've noticed are clamoring that he should be the MVP of the league this year, um, over one James Harden, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, all the people that you've heard in contention for the award. And I want to start there. I'm going to cover, all what my slate would be for these awards very quickly. But LeBron James should not be a serious MVP candidate. When I say serious MVP candidate, I'm talking about amongst the top two people. In my opinion, James Harden was the runaway MVP this season from start to finish. And then I have Anthony Davis as my two. And then you can debate at three between LeBron and Russell Westbrook, as far as I'm concerned. Reason being, and I know that sounds crazy. How's LeBron not a serious MVP candidate? In my mind, you have to play both ways. You can't just play offense, take the whole year off defensively, and expect to be the MVP. That was actually my crux with James Harden last year. Now, one of the things that James Harden did was he improved on the defensive side of the ball to where he was average. He was not great by any means, but he was an average. He became an average defender. In Houston, they actually require him to guard bigs a lot. He's often guarding someone out of position, and he did a serviceable job. LeBron James, on the other hand, was terrible defensively. They actually had there's articles, there are videos of film. Just watching the games on a nightly basis. There's tons of film of LeBron missing switches, not guarding his man, not getting back on defense, giving up fast break layups, the whole nine. And then on top of that, not setting the tone as a leader for his team defensively. One of the reasons why Houston made that jump, yes, they got Chris Paul and all that, but they stepped it up on the defensive end. Houston was much, much better defensively, and that's why they had a dominant season, winning 65 games. Cleveland, on the other hand, was one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And it's because their best player was subpar and had a horrific defensive season. I know LeBron averaged, 27 and a half, 9 assists, 8 boards, had a great season. No, from an offensive standpoint. But three things here. Number one, and I just touched on it, just covered it, horrific defensively. And that's not just my words. That is Brian Windhorst, somebody who I trust, and he covers LeBron very, very heavily. Those were his words. The film is what it is. That's number one. Number two, LeBron had Kyrie Irving before this season leave him because he couldn't establish a relationship with this brother to continue their Eastern Conference dominance. Kyrie then goes to the Boston Celtics. They finished with a better record than Cleveland. And Kyrie was a primetime MVP candidate. And his stats aren't as good because he plays in a system, doesn't have the ball as much. They move the ball a lot more. They're much better coached than Cleveland, which is Super Bowl dominant LeBron. That's their system. So his numbers are going to be better. But defensively, Kyrie was one of the best defensive point guards in the league. And he didn't play defense like that in Cleveland. I put a lot of that on LeBron. A lot of people want to give LeBron credit when he for being the coach and the GM and making all these moves. Well, if you get the credit, you also have to get the blame. And that's the position that I'm coming from. And then number three is they trade for Isaiah Thomas, and they bring in all these veterans, Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, LeBron's, they're just doing this whole kumbaya stuff. And they play terribly, terrible team chemistry. And again, a lot of that was on LeBron. Internally in the locker room, he was not a good teammate this year. He almost gave Ty Lue a heart attack after he yelled at the poor guy. I know Ty Lue's not a good coach, but I mean, come on, look at all that nonsense. Whereas you look at a James Harden, and this is my argument here. You look at a James Harden, By the way, I'm a Spurs fan. So for me, this coming out of my mouth is very, very difficult because I cannot stand the Houston Rockets. But objectively speaking, James Harden didn't play defense last year, was average to somewhat above average this year defensively, had a very good offensive season, led the league in scoring, third in assists, over 5 rebounds a game, 2 steals, most trips to the line, all that. He also gelled with the new teammate, whereas LeBron had exited, not just Kyrie, but Isaiah Thomas and basically everybody that came to play with him. Many of us question how James Harden and Chris Paul would play together when the Rockets made that trade. And so far, it's been a beautiful experiment for them. So far, James Harden has been an ideal teammate. His team was far and away the best team in the league this year, especially after Golden State and Steph went down and they kind of just, hit cruise control. But he should be rewarded. I thought he should have been, I would have been okay with him getting MVP last year, but in my opinion, it should have been Kawhi Leonard again. My MVP has to do both. You can't basketball is not a one-way game. You got to play both ways. It's not the NFL. So that's my argument for James Harden. Anthony Davis had a better season than LeBron James. Anthony Davis is my runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to cover that in a second here. I have Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis averaged 28 points a game, 12 boards, I think he averaged over 2 blocks, almost 2 steals. Much better at the free throw line than LeBron. I think he was like 10% better at the free throw line than LeBron. And then their 3-point percentage and field goal percentage are pretty even. Keep in mind, Anthony Davis had a running buddy who went down, and all he did was he stepped his game up and carried his team to the playoffs when many people were doubting them. And he was one of my dark horse people in an NBA video I made a couple months ago when Boogie went down. Anthony Davis really, really impressed me because I thought he was a guy early in his career that was obviously putting up great numbers, but they were hollow numbers. He put some substance behind his numbers this year, and he played both ways, unlike LeBron. And I'm not trying to be a LeBron hater here, but LeBron did not play defense this year. Look at this playoff series against Indiana Pacers. Every time he tries to guard Victor Oladipo, it's a joke. I'm sorry. He's not. I mean, it's year 15. You can't expect LeBron to be good laterally defensively, but you can't be the MVP, in my opinion, if you give me zero value on the defensive end. And I expect still a lot out of LeBron from the defensive end because of the level of athlete that he is. And to me, his signature play of his entire NBA career is the NBA Finals Game 7 block on Andre Iguodala, excuse me. So that's just my rant, whatever you want to take away from it. Rookie of the Year, I have Ben Simmons over the brother from Utah, Donovan Mitchell. I thought Ben Simmons' all-around game was better. I know Donovan Mitchell scored like crazy this year, averaging over 20 points as a rookie, which is very, very difficult to do. I understand the debate behind, hey, Ben Simmons is not really a rookie, blah, blah, blah. As far as I'm concerned, he did not play in a professional basketball game last year. Therefore, by the NBA rules, they make rules for this. By NBA rule, he is a rookie. Is what it is. And these are the same people that said he couldn't be in the All-Star game because he's a rookie. So it's like, which one is it? You know what I'm saying? You guys didn't want Ben Simmons to be in the All-Star game because you have this whole rookie thing. But then when it's time for him to win Rookie of the Year, we don't want to give it to him because we don't think he's a rookie. So, that's that. Defensive Player of the Year, I have Rudy Gobert slightly over Anthony Davis. He was just such an anchor there for Utah, especially after the losses they had coming into the season. They were one of the best defensive teams. Rudy Gobert on that end was fantastic. If Anthony Davis wins that award, I have no problem with that whatsoever. They're neck and neck. I just had Rudy over him. Sixth Man of the Year, this is probably the easiest award, is Lou Williams of the Clippers. Unbelievable season for him. I hope he gets a nice little contract this offseason. There was a game late in the season against the Spurs where he just torched us in the fourth quarter. His mid-range game, his pull-up, just the ability to be ready when called upon coming off the bench. You could have made a legitimate argument for him being an all-star this year. That's how good Lou Williams was off the bench for the Clippers. Kept his team in the playoff contention late into the season, almost to like the last 2 or 3 games before they got eliminated. So got Lou Will as my sixth man. And then I think the only thing I have most improved player, I actually have Victor Oladipo of the Indiana Pacers leading his team to the playoffs after the Paul George trade for him and Sabonis. Oladipo averaging, I believe, like about 23 points a game, always playing excellent defense, and just having an opportunity to be in a real offense, unlike OKC, and somebody actually coaching to his strengths in Nate McMillan. Oh, by the way, last thing, Coach of the Year. And this may be my Spurs bias, but I have Greg Popovich. The Kawhi Leonard situation has been, it is what it is. It's well documented. In my opinion, he's the coach of the year. Winning 47 games without a top 3 player, revitalizing LaMarcus Aldridge after all of us thought he was pretty much going to be gone in the offseason, and getting him back to basically Portland LaMarcus. And then you start Kyle Anderson, Patty Mills, the run-of-the-mill people in that starting lineup throughout the season. Tony Parker had no juice left. You have a 40-year-old Manu Ginobili. And this is going to be a highly contested award because many people are deserving. I'm giving it to Greg Popovich for that very reason. I don't know if another coach gets this Spurs roster to the playoffs, to be honest with you. But you can argue a Brad Stevens and what he's done, losing Gordon Hayward first quarter of the season, losing Kyrie late in the year, and still finishing as a 2 seed. You can talk me into Quinn Snyder of Utah. You can talk me into Nate McMillan, what he did in Indiana. Extremely impressive. I know one of my buddies is huge on him being coach of the year. Mike D'Antoni's done a terrific job meshing Chris Paul and James Harden together. Those of you who are Houston fans, I have no qualms with you. If you want to try to talk me into Mike D'Antoni being coach of the year. I was high on Terry Stotts before this whole Portland fiasco. I know it's a regular season award, but damn, Terry, I don't know what's going on over there. And then there's a couple others I'm probably missing right now. But Harden is my MVP. Ben Simmons is my Rookie of the Year. Gobert, I have Defensive Player of the Year. Cool with Anthony Davis if you want to do that. Lou Will, 6th man. Most Improved, Victor Oladipo. And Coach of the Year, I have Greg Popovich. But that's just my whole NBA little round table here. Just wanted to talk about that real quick with y'all. Guys, I would love to get to 500 subs. I started this channel in October. And I've been very blessed to have the view time and the people that have consistently been commenting, but love to get to 500. We're pretty close, so please throw me a like, comment, feedback. I love hearing from you guys. I love continuing this conversation. Nothing but love to everyone. Have a terrific weekend, and be back with you guys soon. Peace.